Hello again, and welcome to our book study of 10x is easier than 2x. We'll be talking about chapter 2 today. And I don't have my reading glasses in here. Okay. So chapter 2 is about 10xing the quality of everything that you do. That you shed your 2x identity and relentlessly raise your standards by eliminating the 80%. Eliminating the 80%. I think my biggest takeaway out of this chapter, because I heard it, read it, felt it many times, was definitely going to be enrolling in additional services with Christy McDade. And hopefully I haven't missed the window for that.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, getting
So,
help. Getting help. That'll be great. Um, yeah, the most majority of the chapter was the two different stories
mhm.
of um the people. I mentioned last week or the last time we had book study that on the Audible they interview. So they read the book and then they discuss
Mhm.
things. And one of the things that was fascinating, I finished that commentary of chapter 1 yesterday or the day before, but this was fascinating. So he said that it was when he was trying to, it was when Dan Sullivan was working on 10xing his business, something in his life. And he said he and his wife did not watch much TV.
Mhm.
They about 15 hours a week. And he said most of it was on the weekends for football. So
Mhm.
it was summertime. There wasn't much going on that was new. So they decided together, hey, let's for 90 days of summer, let's not watch TV. So, and it's been 5 years now that he hasn't watched TV. So he did the math 15 hours of TV a week, which is not much, is 4,000 hours over
Wow.
that time period, 5 years. And so he was talking about like in because chapter 2 is very much about raising your standards.
Mhm.
And so the commentary after chapter 2 kind of went more into depth about what he means by raising your standards. So he says your standard is how you use your attention, how you spend your time, and what activities are you doing. And he
Mhm.
again talked about gaining 4,000 hours. I mean, how many times do we say or do we hear people say, oh, I just don't have time. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time
Right.
to read a book. I don't have time to whatever. And just that simple. I mean, I think the average human right now probably spends more than 15 hours a week thumbing their phone.
Mhm.
TV might be in the background or maybe
Right.
not, but what could you accomplish in your life if somebody
No.
was like, here's an extra 4,000 hours for you to work on that?
Yeah.
Um, and, the other big thing in this chapter, again, going to the raising your standards, is that how you may climb to a place, but then to grow again, you have to learn, adjust, and raise your standards
Again. Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Um, and where that hit home with me, Angie, you'll have to watch the replay. When I get home, I'll get everything uploaded. But the training I did last night on the team call
Mhm.
was about the difference between a social media plan and a strategy, and then creating a strategy. And I have done very well up to this point with the social media plan. And now I'm learning more and
Mhm.
and because I've plateaued, and taking what I'm learning from the six-figure system training and creating a six-figure strategy, a social media strategy looks and feels so different. And I must have stared at my calendar yesterday for 2 hours going, okay, I can do this. I can do this. But what it is it's up leveling my brand, how I market myself through that method. And as I go through this training, all the different modules, every 2 weeks I'll have a different module, but right now it's marketing and it's that, and it's social media in a way. And I know a lot about social media. I've done a ton of trainings, and what it's doing is it's up leveling, and it's making where I connected it here. I think, when he's talking about quality over quantity, page 88. Page 88, just below the middle of the page, it starts with "you have higher ambitions." And he says, to make something 10x better involves deep, deep work. Innovation occurs as you break everything down and put it back together in a simpler, easier, and better form. And yesterday, as I totally dissected and committed to a social media strategy and then started to put it together, I could very confidently on the call say last night, once you get past this, it's going to be so much simpler and easier. Like, I will probably spend 2 days getting all my content up and loaded into Instagram for a month. Well, I spend a solid 30 to 40 minutes a night doing an Instagram reel.
Be quiet.
That's an extra 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
For one Instagram reel that I do, that I'm going to, I have it totally mapped out with a strategy of why it's being posted and what the purpose of it is. And so I thought that was pretty amazing. The other thing, go to page 81. He's talking about this whole area, and a lot of the chapters about this. Like, it's easier to get one $30 million customer than what $100,000 customers, whatever, just going for the higher quality. And what popped into my head, what I wrote down is a focus shift. Instead of trying to solve this was just an example, instead of trying to solve people's stress problem with Vital Biome, solve their money problems so that they can be less stressed.
Ooh.
That was just a shift in me to be sharing the business. Like, I'm trying to solve, like, we regularly talk about in Plexus, like we're getting to the root of the problem. And we are. But there's something pretty powerful to helping people with their money shortages.
Yeah.
When there is money problems or money stress, it affects everything.
Yeah.
And so that just is what popped in my head. Like, if I could, my business would grow way more if I had 3 people who were trying to solve their money problems, as opposed to 30 people ordering a triplex.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that intentional going for people with the business. Just a thought that, when it's like, you might work for 6 months and not get a single deal done. But then, when it was talking about the investment guy who, so I don't know. I just talked a lot, but those were my huge, huge takeaways related to our business.
Well, yeah, I did. One note that I made was, the idea of higher quality, less quantity. But I also made a note of how does that translate in terms of if I'm offloading 80% so that I can spend more time just talking to people. How do I improve the quality of talking to people rather than just, okay, let me send 100 messages instead of 10.
Yeah, and I think it's the real intentional um time spent before sending the messages. I mean, there's a time to send lots of messages. It's, in my opinion, today's the last day of the month. Nobody's doing anything on Halloween. So I worked yesterday and today, like it's the last day of the month. And I'm inviting everybody to the Thanksgiving group and whatever. But one of the things Rebecca Folk says in the training is it is better for you to put up 4 really intentional quality posts a week than 7 to 14 posts a week that aren't really converting to sales or stronger relationships.
It's better to paint the whole wall than just to splatter something on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that does take time.
Yeah. Page 66, I happen to underline because I know this has worked for me in the past and I know I need to do it again and I haven't, but towards the end where, Chad, join networks of entrepreneurs, joining the networking groups, joining the chamber, whatever it is that can connect you to help you grow your network. And in the team training with the social media part of the formula we discussed last night, it is intended to help you grow your network so that you can start building relationships so that it can be converted to sales. Top of 70, he says that none of the things that Chad let go of were bad. They just weren't getting him to that next level.
Right.
He was an amazing person.
Yeah. I found it interesting, and this is also on page 70. That idea of identity and even letting go of parts of your identity, or that your identity is your story or narrative that you have for yourself and the standards or commitments you hold for yourself. And I feel like I have some work to do in that area of there's some negative aspects of my story that I'm holding on to that I need to let go of. Because the story I tell myself is not very positive.
Right. Well,
So,
you've taken some steps to work on that.
I have.
And continuing on that path, acknowledging that and knowing, hey, it's probably pretty critical for you to spend time every day writing out your gratitude and your affirmations. To start to just change that narrative.
I'm writing that down.
And there's one thing about those affirmations. You got to keep saying them because it takes it a while to get inside and really begin to believe. That's nothing superficial. and you just cannot give up. The faith will
Right.
come, the reality will come, but it doesn't come the first time we say it. Maybe
Right.
not
Right.
even a week.
Definitely not a week. Page 71 talks about the 4C's formula: commitment,
Mhm.
courage, capability, and confidence. And one thing he talked about in the review of chapter 1, so he was talking about it in advance, but something he said that really hit home is confidence feels good, courage doesn't feel good. So we are confident in things. When we're confident, it feels good. We know we've mastered it. We know how to do it. So he said, confidence feels good. Courage does not feel good. We won't develop the capability until we are fully courageous to start the journey. So those are the 4C's, but you have to commit. You have to be
Mhm.
courageous enough to commit before you become capable of something. And then once you're capable of it and you do it more, you become confident in it.
Right. Yeah, I like how that paragraph on, or that section on 71, it moves through the 4C's like stages.
Mm-hmm.
You make the commitment, then that pushes you outside your comfort zone. Because you've raised your standard. So that pushes you outside your comfort zone. So you have to have
Mm-hmm.
the courage. And then because of the courage, you gain the capabilities, which then gives you the confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, which may be a repetition of what you just said, but it's just that was my brain
Just written
processing.
differently. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. That's how it was written. And I had taken notes just listening to him before I read it in this chapter. So,
Mhm. So, smack in the middle of page 72, this is the only thing I underlined on this page, is that humans have an enormous aversion to loss.
Mhm.
That we have a hard time giving up things, letting
Mhm.
go of things. We like what's comfortable and familiar, and we don't like change.
Correct.
Mm.
And if they have a hold of us, it's even harder to get rid of them.
Hmm. So that just struck a chord with me. Um, I'm a clutter bug and a pack rat. I have a hard time letting go of things. I might look at it and think, I don't know what use I'm ever going to have for this, but I can't throw it away because I might need it. Except I
So
know darn good and well, if I ever do need it, I'm not going to be able to find it.
you
So
might be overvaluing something you own.
yes,
Number 2.
yes, exactly. Exactly. Mm. Well, and also that idea of letting go of, continuing to invest in something unprofitable. I've, I continued paying for something because I kept saying, well, but I haven't used it, but I'm going to use it now so that I can make up for all that I've invested in it. And it still didn't work. So did finally let that go. And I've learned to, I think I've learned to quit subscribing to things because I have the best of intentions, but then it's like, he said, sunk money.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely overvaluing things, um, and continuing to do something you've previously done just to be viewed as consistent.
Mhm.
And it says viewed by yourself and others.
Yeah.
But,
So,
you know,
so on that note, I appreciated that the latter part of the chapter kind of circled back around to atomic habits and how Atomic Habits was about developing the habits that the person you want to be or the person you would like to see yourself as has
Yeah.
those habits. It's a constant struggle. It's just a constant struggle. So I have to acknowledge my concentration wasn't all that it could have been. Reading this chapter this morning, after I had read through it, I went and looked back over it, found like a 2-page spread with nothing highlighted, and looked at it and couldn't even remember having read those 2 pages.
That's okay. You've been with your mom.
Yeah.
You know,
She's a
okay.
lot. She's a lot.
Yeah. In the middle of 80, everything we do as people is driven by our goals or standards. You become whatever you're striving for. Your goal shapes your process. Your goal also shapes your personal development and evolution. This really hit home to me today because I got a text from my daughter-in-law saying, I need help setting some new goals. I have achieved all of the goals. They bought a house, so they close on it in 2 weeks. And
Nice.
she's like, every goal I set out for myself, I've achieved so far, except for have a child, which is not a current goal. It's in the future goal. And so she has spent so much time with me. She was like, I can't not have, I need your help. And I kind of don't even know where to go because I've, done everything I planned to do after college. And I loved that so much because it really does having goals. If you're really committed to them, sorry, my phone rang. If you're really committed to your goals, that will shape your daily actions. That will shape how you behave. That will shape what time you wake up. Right? Not really having any goals that you're really working on, really working on. And to say it is one thing, but to actually do it, I haven't checked recently, Angie, but any idea where you landed with how many people you've reached out to this month?
Not exactly, but I would say it's between 75 and 100.
Okay. And so the last time you posted was October 16th, and you had reached out to 10 out of 160.
Well, that was 10 that day.
10 that day. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine just stayed, I kept accumulating. Okay, so 35.
Yes, I didn't accumulate.
Okay.
I didn't either. I just put how many I did a day.
You did that day. Got it. That makes sense. So then with the goal this week of following up, how many do you think you've followed up with? And you remember part of the goal in the process was to have all the reach outs done by the 25th. So you followed up this week. But you still have today and tomorrow. But that also means being able to say to your mom, hey, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to follow through to do my darndest to reach this goal. And that means I'm probably going to have to go to my room or the library for about 2 hours and work. And let her do whatever, think whatever, feel whatever, because you're not responsible for that, but you are responsible for keeping the commitment to yourself. And even if you don't end up having anybody join, I promise you, you are laying the groundwork for November, which I think will probably be the largest grossing month in Plexus's history. Knowing what I know about what's coming in November, don't sit on today.
Okay.
And don't sit till tomorrow, because then you know what you're going to tell yourself? Of course, nobody's talking to me. It's Halloween.
Right.
Treat today like it's the last day of the month. And what will be important for you moving forward in setting your own standards is when your mom moves there, she's going to need to know that the standard is that you work. It may not look like work to other humans,
Hmm.
but the standard is that you do this much work a week. And because you were at her house and you were doing this and that, you haven't been able to. So I need to take a couple hours today and get caught up because it's the end of the month. Just a
Okay.
thought. You don't have to
Yes.
do that, but I think that standing up for yourself and your business
Mm-hmm.
and your commitments
Yeah.
will allow you to sleep better tonight, as opposed to feeling resentful. Not that you would, but resentful that you maybe didn't do anything. Gina, what you got?
Okay. The people that I had that I saw their pictures, and they went to the party, and then even some that I didn't know if they went, I followed up and I said, what was your very favorite takeaway? Okay. None of them responded, but can I be confident? And I'm asking you this from the doing side of it. Can I be confident to know that continuing to drip is part of the process?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's
And
where I am. I'm dripping on them.
you can invite, I have changed the rules for that Thanksgiving group that I posted about. I'm not making anybody buy anything. I've reached out to every human on my team and invited them, even if they haven't ordered in a few months, because in my mind, I scheduled that event before I knew what was coming in November. Now I know what's coming in November, and I want as many people as possible in that group, because there's going to be a lot of good information in that. And then when I'm adding in the specials and the things that are coming from Plexus, it's not going to seem like a bother. It's just going to be a part of the benefit. So once I found out, when I originally posted about it, my mind was, you need to order something to be in the group. Now that I know what's coming in November, I am like, get everybody in that group that you can, and let's have them ordering in November, because if they were ever going to order, it will be in November. Okay. So with that in mind, reach out to everybody. I mean, I think I sent 70 messages on Facebook yesterday asking them if they saw my post, and I can send you what I said, but did you see my post about the Thanksgiving thing, whatever I called it? I would love to have you in there. And what I did was I went on my Facebook thing where you can click on friends and it shows you everybody that's online. And I just went until, honestly, I did it for over an hour until it was time for the team call. Everybody that was online, I sent that message to.
What did you punch to find that out?
If you go into Facebook and you click on your friends, if it has a green dot next to their picture, it means they're online right now.
Okay. All right.
So they can ignore me, but I know that they're there. I know that they're active on Facebook.
Right. Okay.
So if you change your intention and that way, like there's no rejection involved. Like this is going to be a great group. We're going to have over $350 in prizes. I'll put more in. If there's lots of people in there and it's worth it, we'll do more. Okay. Get everybody you can in there. That's what I would do. That's what I'm doing. Literally everybody. I'm like, you don't have to buy anything. Just come in here and get help with sugar detox, lower stress, get you ready for the holidays coming up.
Okay.
You're going to
So
send
you
what
are actually you're actually promoting it as no purchase necessary.
The post I put up right before book club, yesterday I did a post and it, assuming I needed them to buy. Today I made a new post and said, no purchase necessary. That if you want to order a combo, it might help you with your results, depending on your goals, but you don't have to buy anything. And the one I put up on Pick Coach on my personal page, but it's also, I will make the changes. I put it in the Pink Health page. I put it up with no purchase necessary.
Okay.
Just make it one of those added benefit things.
Value added.
Value added. Yes. Thank you for the correct words.
And the one
sorry,
that you have in Gold Diggers, can I post that one? Because that's about the group. I haven't posted about the group yet.
Yep.
Okay.
I have posted about it twice on my personal page, and then it's in the post in Gold Diggers, I think I may need to adjust it. Give me a minute after this call to adjust it, because I think the one in Gold Diggers might still say purchase necessary. Sorry, I went on a tangent, but I do think it's relevant to you raising your standards.
Yes.
Me raising my standard.
Excuse me.
It's definitely different. It's definitely out of the comfort zone.
It's a little shift. It's actually a big shift.
It
would be a huge shift, I think, for you to say, gotta work. It would not be a shift if you were going into school for the classroom.
Right. Well, and that's actually something I was thinking about earlier is, there have been times in the past where I've gone to my mom's and I've said, I need to spend an hour or so doing this. And I've gone into another room and done it. And I haven't been doing that, but I was closer to my work life when I was able to do that. And I'm like so far removed from that
Work.
scheduled. Yeah. That I've gone all loosey-goosey with expectations for myself. And that's
why we're doing this.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
I love all the habit stuff. Oh, yes, go.
To shift back to the book. Another one that struck me is another thing he said that struck me was that competition is fiercest for average goals, because that's where everybody is right there in that average, realistic, achievable. And
yeah, like when he
goes
talked about
that.
People talking about applying for the jobs, how many more apply for and
I know.
I think that's one, I've heard that multiple times, and I think it's because of how people value themselves, what they think they're worth.
They also think the work is harder.
Could be. It could be that they are not, I've been through many job hunts with my dear husband, and they're, certain jobs he's like, I could never do that, and I'm like, read me the description, and I'm like, that's what you do. But because of the title, and it might be the CEO but of a very small company, And I'm like, you 100% could do that. He's like, I haven't been a vice president before. And now that he's been made vice president, he, now he has that title. So in his head, the next step would be a C-suite. But it's interesting to me, especially at huge companies where there are, and not that he's at a huge company, but there are huge companies where there's like 20 vice presidents. Or a smaller company where there's one. You know what I mean? But it's the title that traps people. And he's stuck with me. So he hears me all the time and still gets stuck on a title. And the job description, if you took the title away and only gave the human the job description, they either could do it or couldn't. But then you add the title and they decide whether or not they're worthy or not.
That's true.
Right?
Titles carry weight.
Yes. And I'm like, all it is what it says on your business card. Haven't we all seen vice presidents that don't do jack squat? And you're like, do they even know?
We have one in our country. Wait a minute.
Do we even know how to, you know what I mean? So being, I don't even know what you said, Angie, that made me go down that squirrel.
That the competition is fiercest for the 10x goals than for the realistic goals. So
number 91, page 91, I like at the top, 10x is committing to your ambitious vision and making that vision your standard. You do this by locking into the 20% that will get you there and letting go of the 80% that got you there. You know, that is repeated. We're only on chapter 2 and we've heard it a million times. It must be important. Like you said, Angie, you read it and you were like, I know what I need to get rid of. I know what and for me, it was a matter of, okay, I'm committing to this and deciding to pay the cost for the 6-figure summit training. That's what it looked like to me without running it by my husband. So, and it will look different for you, each of you, at different stages. What change do you have to make to be able to level up? And we talked, I think at the beginning about, Angie, you were talking about looking up to people who are doing what we're doing or whatever. And in my mind, doing this training with Melissa and Rebecca, who are how many star diamonds, like what they're doing works. And while I've done trainings by Brooke and Emily, I've never done one by them. And it's one of those things of like, well, they're doing something really, really well. They're doing what I want to do really, really well. So let me hear what they have to say and let me soak it in and let me implement it. I'm not going to become a worse network marketer by doing this job. I'm only 1 week into the 12-week program and I'm already like, oh, I didn't know that. And I wouldn't I would not describe myself as a lazy network marketer by any means. And I'm at 1 week in and I'm like, okay.
Wow. Yeah.
All right.
There's always something deeper to do.
Yes.
We just have to dig.
And they're doing it well. So I'm like, all right, let's go.
Get my shovel and let's go.
Let's go. Yep. Choosing your standards and writing them down. What are your standards going to be? How often are you going to work? How often are you going to work out? What are you going to eat? What are you going to eliminate? What are you going to add? You know, what are your standards? Regardless of what the people around you are doing, because those people might change based on your standards. Some will not, right? Like Saturday night when Rob and I were walking through Gatlinburger Sunday nights, and he was like, I wish you'd drink with me. And I was like, I have asked you to stop saying that. I don't want to drink. And he's like, oh, I didn't hear you. And I go, well, I didn't say it today, but I've said it many times. Like, I don't have a problem with you drinking, but I wish you would not make me feel guilty for not drinking. And he doesn't push it. It's not like a person can't make me feel guilty, but really to just say, I wish you drink with me. I'm the one that chooses or not chooses to feel guilty about it. But him as my partner, I'm like, I just wish you wouldn't say that. It shouldn't be a thing. You should know by now, because we're almost 2 years in of me almost never drinking. I've drank 5 times since January of 2023. So it should be expected at this point that just because we're going to dinner, I am not going to have a drink. That's not an occasion for me to drink. And so stop asking me. Well, that might have made a friend uncomfortable, and that friend might stop asking me to go hang out with them. My husband's stuck with me. But I use that example of like certain friends, when you raise your standards to whatever change you make, some people might fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And others might come in that lift you as you lift them based on whatever your standards are.
Right.
Yeah, that was another place I kind of looked at that and thought, I don't know what my standards are, so I need to put some thought into that.
I haven't made the post yet. I'm going to send you the chat GPT prompt. I did it 2 days ago. Unbelievable. Basically, you type in there everything of what you want, what your dream life looks like. So you remember in future boards and you did your 5 years out, like your dream life. So you put your dream life in there. And then, and the prompt is like, write what a day in the life looks like and it's all this stuff, right? Whatever, it's all the stuff that you have that you want in 5 years. And then you say, now can you write me, I forget the exact prompt, but basically you're telling it to write out what my day needs to look like right now to achieve that life. And it literally gave me from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. what I should be doing every half hour, how I should segment my day to achieve my perfect life. And it wasn't BS. Like, I literally was in tears when I read a day in the life of my perfect life. And then when it kind of divided my day out of what I should be doing in segments to achieve the certain goals that I want in order to create that life, I can't lie, it was pretty spot on. And taking that to heart and trying to wake up earlier. And, I still am on vacation. So I'm not dug deep into it, but also I'm like, that if you don't know what your standards should be, that description of what should I be doing every day to achieve that perfect life will give you some standards, in my opinion.
Okay.
And you could choose how you want to implement any or all of them, but it was cool. It was cool.
Definitely sounds interesting.
Yeah. I'll send it to you and you can try it and just see.
Okay.
Just see.
Would you send it to me?
I will.
So I did feel a little bit like this chapter. I mean, I get why it's necessary, but it did kind of say the same thing again and again and again and again in different ways. And yes, it inserts the examples in there of how that applies. Um, but I guess what I'm saying is I feel like maybe we've covered it.
I think you're right. It it did, I think, in three different ways tell the same story.
Yeah.
Which is good because they all looked very, very different, but it's the concept was the same for the three different ways.
Right. Well, and it depends on what type of person you are that as to which one's going to resonate the most deeply
Mhm.
or, and, repetition is important. I don't want to discount that. I mean, for Pete's sake, I was a classroom teacher. You have to repeat things
Mm-hmm.
for them to get through
Yeah.
5 to 12 times.
Same when you're selling something.
Yeah.
5 to 12 times for the average sale.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good.
Hmm.
And
Definitely good.
I did find, like I said, two different ways that I related it to my business. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
so
Well, I had ways that I related it to my life, my business, what, where I need to work on myself
mhm.
and what things I need to dig into deeper. So,
Well, and allow it to soak in. And I think it's easier to do when you've really tried to remove the 80%. Remember, um, week one, or maybe even the introduction, I think I mentioned that I had too many goals. I had I had all kinds of goals all over the place. And so I decided for the last 90 days and for this book and everything to really narrow in, and it was grow my business and increase my running and those and homeschool. But those two were going to be my personal things that I was like dug in, increasing my mileage and growing my business. And today, as I was looking, there's a full length mirror here in this bathroom. It's going to be the death of me. I was like, oh my gosh, is this really what I look like? Like, and when I started my jog this morning, I was like, I need to drop 20 pounds. I need to do this. I need to, and my head was just spinning with things I needed to do. And I literally stopped myself and I was like, we are only focusing on increasing our mileage right now.
Right. You can only
If
do one thing at a time well,
if the
period.
weight drops off, great. If it doesn't, I'm still running 10 miles on Saturday. Period. But I had to stop my head from spinning
Yes.
immediately and go, I have chosen right now
Right.
to zero in on growing my business, acting as if I'm truly acting as if I'm a silver and there's nobody on my team at all. Because otherwise, I'm getting distracted by the people I think should do things that aren't doing anything. So
Right.
I had my a call with my Plexus coach yesterday, and we are acting like I'm brand new. And I am recruiting like I am brand new. And I am depending on humans like I'm brand new. So we're going to pretend it's my diamond reentry leg and everybody is brand new.
Right.
But
Right.
don't allow yourself to spin. Just be like, what am I doing?
Right.
I'm recruiting. I'm recruiting.
Right.
And then I'm going to
Overwhelm will
retain
get
them.
you nowhere.
Yep. And then I'm going to retain them and I'm going to duplicate and I'm going to lead them. Recruit, retain, duplicate, lead. That's all. So
sounds good. Hmm.
You got it narrowed down.
I sound much bolder than I am in real life.
Well, but you know, each time you speak that, you do get bolder, and it does put inside, it establishes something.
Hmm.
And if
Yeah.
that's the something that you go with, that's what you go with. It all works. I
Mhm.
have to see that. I've been in your thing, and my mind has just gone. And I thought, oh my goodness, Lord, I've got so much to do. But each thing you do helps accomplish something else.
Mhm.
And I've had to look at it that way, that one thing is just not futile. It all works together.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you guys are amazing. You're
You're
here,
So
you're
are
amazing.
doing
you.
it. It's the last day of the month. Make it magical.
Will do.
Okay.
Next week, I need to meet at noon instead of 12, instead of 2,
Okay.
Okay.
because I'm flying to Baltimore to be with my friend in Delaware.
And you're doing a presentation for her? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you
Yeah,
said last time?
yeah.
Would you rather move it to a different day? If are you traveling that day?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, but I need to leave for the airport at like 2. So if we could meet at noon,
Okay. If we
and I'll
need to
just
move it
make
to
sure.
Tuesday, let me know.
Yeah, Tuesday's a therapy day, so that's a whole other can of worms.
Got it.
we'll leave the
Okay.
lid on that.
Yep. Okie doke.
So, all right.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.